welcome to LayBack with Betfair. Joined by the A-team, we're back. Hello and welcome to another edition of LayBack with Betfair. My name's Nick Foot, your host, ready to take you through what is a huge weekend of racing, headlined at Flemington by the Group 1 Makybe Diva Stakes and a stacked black card type of racing as well, up there in Sydney at Royal Randwick. Joining me this week is a little bit of a different flavour, down from Sydney, so we're sort of Melbourne-Sydney combining here, is none other than the great man, Mick Gannon. Welcome to LayBack, mate.
Thanks for having me, Footy.
It's good to have you here. We've lost the equine genius. We've lost Reese with a runner at Bendigo, but I've got a good feeling that you and we've got a little bit of synergy already. We're going to find a few winners for our listeners and our viewers today. Before we do that though, Mick, we're going to head straight into the LayBin, which is the flagship segment on this show where we just get all of our bad energy out of the way early so then we can really tuck into the form. And I'm going to throw to you, mate. What's in your LayBin for today?
Plenty of bad energy going on over in the US with former President Donald Trump. I'm not sure if you caught it, but he giving himself 8-foot putts on the golf course. Now, he's out there professing that he's off, scratch, playing off, really low figures, playing good golf. And then he walks up there and he's giving himself 8-foot putts.
I've seen that clip. I reckon it's a gimme.
Well, here's how it works, right? So if it's a gimme, pick it up, Don. don't tap it, and then as it's missing, tap it in again. So you're in the LayBin.
Now, you're a former professional golfer, Mick Gannon, which our viewers and listeners may not know. So that must really tug at the heartstrings and or the integrity or the fabric of the game.
The integrity of the game. It's just, mate, if it's a gimme, pick it up.
Yeah.
All right? And I'm surprised. I think he's a genuine 18 handicapper. He's got real Kim Jong vibes about him with his golf scoring, and I'll be lodging a protest.
I'm not copping he's 18. I'm 19. I'm not copping that the Don's better than me.
Yeah, he's got some Boston breakfast balls in him, I reckon.
I don't know. I wouldn't mind handing his card in. Marking that. Hey, for me in the LayBin this week is courier delivery windows. So had piece of furniture delivered this week. Clearly I didn't order it, but my wife did.
Mrs. Foot.
Yep, and got told, hey, you got to be home between 9 a.m. and 2 p.m. for this to come. Now, we've got to be better than that. 5 hours, I had nothing to do. So, landed at about 11:30. So the window was spot on.
Ooh.
But
and you're still laying it.
I'm still laying it because
they did their
it's
job.
A 5-hour window. Give me a half an hour window. Text me when it's leaving the centre. I don't know.
Hard man to please.
Very hard man to please, and it's going in the LayBin, those delivery windows. Enough garbage. Anyway, let's get into the Flemington card, and we're going to preview 7 races from Flemington today, headlined by the Group 1 Makybe Diva Stakes. But I dare say I'm probably more excited for a lot of these races around the Group 1, just the 7 acceptors in that, and we'll get to that and talk about that more in depth shortly. We will kick off in race number 3. Actually, before I get to that, I might just touch on the track conditions quickly. Rail True, good 4. How are you expecting it to play, Mick?
I expect it to play really fair. I think you're going to find in the straight races they're going to be going down to the middle outside as usual, and then for everything beyond that, 1,400 metres and beyond, I think you'll see a very fair racing surface. Yeah,
I did see when the rail's in the true at Flemington that sort of 50% of the winners come from as back markers as on paces as well. So traditionally in history says everyone gets their chances at Flemington, and this is why Flemington's my favourite track and I love betting there.
You got to love HQ, and you're spot on. I think the tempo will play a big part, and I think the Makybe Diva will get to that race later. That's a race that might throw up a bit of a different result for on-pace runners, but it'd be interesting to see. Race fields and tempo is a big key there.
Well, we'll kick off in race 3, which is listed the Sofitel. It's a handicap for the 4-year-olds and upwards over 1,400 metres. Now, Scolopini won this race last year for the O'Day Hoisted team coming down from Queensland. Similar flavour this year with Antino coming south from the Tony Golland yard. You've also got Colino and Climbing Star. They look to be the key speed influences with Antino. How are you seeing this race unfold, mate?
Yeah, spot on. You've got the map to perfection now. I'm really keen to be with Detonator Jack. I thought he came back really, really well, produced a pretty good figure. Now second up, gets to a suitable 1,400 metres. As you touched on, there's a fair bit of speed there. Colino will roll forward. Antino won't be too far away, and I just think Antino's price is a little short. So Detonator Jack on top for me, and I think could probably go on to bigger and better things this spring.
Yeah, I actually gave him none first up over 1,200. I actually made him a lay on this show, and That was in the Regal Roller, and I just thought, oh, that's going to be well short of his best. And he sprinted really well, just missed. So 1,400 metres, 1 from 1 this track and trip. Can certainly see why you'd entertain Detonator Jack as a bet. Climbing Star is another interesting runner in this one. I'm surprised she handed up last start, when first up 1,200 metres with the blinkers on, jumped well, could have probably beaten Varvia had not have handed up. So an interesting runner there at a reasonable price. And Colino behind Devoted as well. What do you do with Colino?
Really hard horse to catch now. I think deep into its preparation, they have to roll forward. And I think this is going to be the key to the race for Detonator Jack because, as you mentioned, there's a horse there in Climbing Star that's going to roll forward. You've got Antivo that'll be there. Colino will go forward. And I think, what do you do with it? I'm just happy to oppose.
Yep. Cool. Well, I'm staying out of the race. I have Antino on top, but I'm with you, just a little bit short of the price.
Yeah.
Concerned whether he's fully screwed down or not. I know Tony Gollan and Jimmy Orman, they're not coming down here to watch the semi-final on Friday night. They're coming here to win, but I think he's a good horse, but I just want to see him go around first up down here in Victoria. So Detonator Jack, the play for Mickey Gannon in race number 3. Let's head to race 4 now, which is the listed Poseidon Stakes for the 3-year-old boys. Set weights and penalties, 1,100 metres. This race here, Mickey, it's often a good guide to who may run well in a Coolmore stud stakes. So we had Buenos Noches won the race last year, then went on to run 3rd in the Coolmore. Ranch Hand won it in 2021, then went on to run 4th in a Coolmore, and September Run won both editions back in 2020. So it's a good guide, but all that said, we've got to find the winner here, and there's a bit of cash floating around on this turf with a few expensive and explosive colts, and I'm intrigued to see how you're going to assess this one, mate.
Yeah, it's really, really interesting race footy, and I think that there's one clear A grader here, and I think the rest are B graders and even below that, and that's King's Gambit for Team Snowden. This horse, I suggest, will go win this race and put his hand up for an Everest. And I think that his recent trials have been really good. He's settled sort of back. He's showed a bit more versatility at the trials this time around. His figure he produced at first up on debut was enormous. He looks like he's back to that sort of form. Barrier 2, Blake Shin, he's the man you want on board, Blake Shin. I think he'll destroy these.
Are you? Dare say, I feel for the connections here if they're hearing that the $3 million half-brother to Sunlight Kandinsky Abstract is not an A-grader. I'm sure that'd be wrapped with some of your calls there. But
yeah,
I want to touch on Kandinsky Abstract, who's the one at a price that could probably take some improvement. There were some excuses, 1-5 lame, first up there in Sydney, and the stable obviously have an enormous opinion of him as well. You've got I Am Unstoppable, serious return in the vein, 0.3 lengths off Cylinder, who dug deep to win the Run to the Rose last week as well. There's a lot of talent around and a lot of room for improvement. I can certainly see what you're saying around King's Gambit's got the runs on the board as well. Price okay?
Price is fantastic. I thought around the $3 mark is really good. You might get a touch better. I think it may be $3.30 at the moment. We might get closer to $3.50, but I'm happy to take that. I already have taken it, and I think it's a great bet. When you're talking about I Am Unstoppable, without a shadow of a doubt, it was really, really good form lines there. I think the thing with Kandinsky Abstract is big spruik horses, you're not getting the price you should be getting. I had it marked closer to $10. If you got beyond that, then it becomes a bet. But with these big spruiky horses, they're always going to be well found in the market. And what we saw first up, it wasn't that impressive at all. Granted, one of 5 lame. Happy to be against.
There's one I might be speccing here at a price, and that's number 10, Archo Nacho, who ran here in July over 1,000, bombed the start, rattled home for second, ran the fastest last 400 and 200 splits of the meeting. He split Exploring and Ouroboros that day, and Ouroboros has since gone on to run Cylinder to a nose in the Vane Stakes as well. So he's got a couple of things in his favour. I like that he's handled the straight before. Archo Nacho and Mahaba are the only 2 runners in this field that have seen the straight. I think that's important and sometimes underestimated by punters, straight track form. I think Archo Nacho is one you can sort of spec at a price 14. Mahaba, again, 1 from 1 track at the trip, $15 if you're wanting to sort of play some value. But I'm treading carefully. I think it's an awfully competitive race.
Yeah, I think out of the value runners, I think Mahaba's a horse that can definitely improve. I love the fact that he's gone to Sydney. He's had that preparation. He's come back. He's well travelled. He's well experienced. I think that's going to hold him in good stead this preparation.
Excellent. Well, let's head to race number 5, mate. We're just smashing through these listed races. We're now at the listed Exford Plate. It's for the 3-year-olds, set weights and penalties, 1,400 metres. Berkeley Square won the race last year. Speed map looks good speed here, Mickey. Introducing Griff, La Zebra. Some people call me King of Fighters. They all look to be up there.
An abundance of speed, and it sets up for one horse and one horse only. Footy, who do you think?
You tell me, mate.
Legacies.
Yeah, I'd tread very carefully around Legacies. I'm keen to hear why.
Well, that run behind V8 was super. V8's a horse that you got to be following. I think it's enormous. I think she's going to relish the trip here, and it just maps to perfection. Jamie Carr, barrier 7, sits behind a hot speed, goes up 200 metres. Sometimes we can overcomplicate things in this game, and this is as simple as she is a bet and $2.15, $2.20. That's fine. That's reasonable. Add a mark $2.
Yep, they put her up 250. Some of the corporates, and that snapped up pretty quickly. And I'm sure you'll get better on the exchange on Saturday. You always do with Betfair. If you are keen on legacies, I tell you who I'm keen on here, Mickey, and I'm keen on the 7 Mojave Desert, who's still a maiden. Things certainly didn't go his way last start at Warwick Farm, was blocked for runs. J-Mac was zigging and zagging all over the joint. Once out though, ran the fastest last 200 metres of the meeting. Look, he maps to get a soft run here, and I know, J-Mac's out for other reasons, but Blake Shin on and the form he's in, that's a legitimate gear change. He's just that good, and mapped to get a beautiful soft run. I think Mojave Desert, if it's going to break through, particularly at listed level, he could do so at this race. And I'm going to have an each-way play there because you're looking at sort of, double-figure quote about Mojave Desert. So he's one that I want to entertain at a bit of a price, and it's probably a little bit of an insight into how I'm going to play a lot of the races at Flemington. I think there is great value around these sort of 1x3 and each-way plays throughout the day, Mickey.
Yeah, it's one of those sort of cards, isn't it, where you can play a real straight bet, take back a couple of these favourites, then you can oppose them as well. You just got to pick and choose the price. I think you'd be very price sensitive, and that's where jumping on Betfair and being able to get, as you suggested, maybe something closer to $2.50 could be the play here, legacies. But Mojave Desert's it's an interesting one. It's one of these Waller runners that they come down to Melbourne and they can just jump out of the ground when they get to Flemington. It happens so often, and I think you're spot on. Draws perfectly. Blake Shin, gear change, one of the best going around. Still think Legacies have got the job done.
Yeah, Gay's pretty keen on Legacies. Mickey Gannon. Race 6, mate, the listed Captain Teebs Stakes for the 3-year-old fillies, 1,100 metres. Nana Guy held off Say Magique and Typhoon Titmus to win last year's edition. This could be one of the harder races on the program in terms of assessing. There's lots of key chances here. Skirt the Law brings excellent form, second to Charm Zone in the Quisette. Estriella's down from Sydney, who's running really well. We've got Stretton Angel, who has some, probably not the sexiest form line coming from Adelaide, but certainly has put the numbers on the board. Steel City's an interesting entity first up as well. How do you see the speed map here down the straight, and who do you want to side with, or if you want to have a bet or get involved in this race, mate?
Yeah, very keen to get involved in the race. The speed map-wise, Steel City will roll forward. Tis Enough, Sicilian, they'll all go forward here. And look, it's just one of those sort of races where you've got to understand how important these form lines are. That Quisette form line, Charmstone, was superior. And then that horse came out and sat 3 wide, arguably probably in the better ground, but you still have to sit 3 wide to get the job done and absolutely tower them up again. Skirt the Law, in my opinion, probably should have won that race last start. And now you're getting around that $4 for a horse that, if it won, would be about $3, right? So I think she's clearly the best horse in the race. She's got the runs on the board. She's come back super. I think barrier 23 out there down the grandstand side, more often than not, that's the place you want to be. She's the one that's on top. Once again, it's one of these days where you think, geez, why is it? It looks so easy. It may not turn out to be that way, but yeah, Skirt the Law look the one. I'm really interested to see how Cigar Flick, another Waller horse, goes in this race. And yeah, there was a big push for the horse from Adelaide that you mentioned before. Name's just
Stretton Angel.
Stretton Angel, yeah. And I had a big push via text message from someone close to the stable. Not for me, but they're very keen. They think she can measure up.
Yeah, and she's actually the one I'm siding with in the race, Stretton Angel. And she's shown just a devastating turn of foot in both of her career starts as a 2-year-old earlier this calendar year. on debut over 1100. She ran the fastest last 400 and 200 of the entire meeting, which is tough to do on debut. And then at her second career start, she won the Makybe Stakes over there in Adelaide, again running the fastest last 400 and 200 of the day in good time. I think she's a filly that's about to stamp herself here as a big springtime filly.
Love it.
And the booking of Jamie Carr, she's not just hopping on Stretton Angel for the sake of it. Like, this is a key jockey
She
booking.
got the text message as
Philip
well, you reckon?
Stokes, I reckon. She might have got the Mickey Gannon text mail. So key jockey booking. I think Philip Stokes has got a really nice one on his hands here. And yeah, sort of when they come from Adelaide to Melbourne at this time, they mean business. They're not just here for the runaround too. So I think she can measure up, although she doesn't bring those sexy form lines that I did mention.
That is a challenge, isn't it? You know, what do you go with as a punter here? Do you look wide? And if you do, you want to get value for that. So you never know, mate. You could be on the money there.
Usually am. Race number 7 is the Group 1 Makybe Diva Stakes, weight for age, 1,600 metres. The feature of the day, and well, what an addition 2022 was. The late great I'm Thunderstruck just got the head down over Alligator Blood, and again, we got a 7-horse field here, which on face value I thought was a little underwhelming, but I mean, it's a competitive race, and had you have added more runners to this race, the market may not have changed too much anyway, because these are, coming through the Memsy. I mean, you take I Wish I Win out, these are the key ones that are stepping up to the mile. Mr. Brightside, Alligator Blood, the two at the top of the market. Princess Grace, she was really unlucky in the Memsy, Mick. Osipenko, I think, was the one to watch out of that race and the one screaming for 1,600. How are you sort of seeing this here? How do they turn the tables on Mr. Brightside out to the mile? His stats are pretty phenomenal, 9 from 13 at the trip. Does he get beat?
The tough thing with Mr. Brightside is he keeps getting better. So you think, what's his ceiling? And you thought you probably found it at the end of last preparation. But he's come back bigger and better. So that's the scary thing with that runner. Just touching on Princess Grace, was luckless in the Wing Stakes in the inferior ground, then went to the Memsy in the inferior ground, but now she's just drawn terribly. Barrier 7. Now, they might be able to roll across, but do they let her get across easily, being a clear danger in the race? I'd be surprised. I think they might go a little bit slow early, and that'll make the job even harder from that wide gate. It looks a race in 2, clearly. The market suggests that. No prizes for suggesting that. I just think Mr. Brightside's a class above now. Alligator Blood, there or thereabouts.
Well, he certainly had Brightside's measure in the past and the futurity and whatnot. So I do agree, though. Mr. Brightside looks like he's gone to another level, and that's not a big knock on the likes of Alligator Blood, but it looks like they're just holding their level, while Mr. Brightside's that one that's been really open to improvement since coming back and has elevated. So can certainly see that. I find the speed map, particularly in these races where there's 7-horse fields, they're always tactical affairs. Like Princess Grace, you spoke about, what does Blake Shin do with her? Like, I can see him rolling forward, sitting outside Alligator Blood, which would give Mr. Brightside and Craig Williams that box seat in behind the run. And with the pressure Willow's been under this week and a fair bit of the chat around that, it'd be hard to see him perhaps letting people down 2 weeks in a row.
It's
if
a big
that's
moment.
the way you see it.
It's a big moment for Willow. He's gonna come out and he's gonna produce a big ride. Cometh the hour, cometh the man for Willow. I think he'll get the job done here. But it'd be really interesting to see, because if they go slow, who do you think it's an advantage to?
Yeah, it's a tough call. I don't think they will go slow, just based on it's not Alligator Blood's style. He likes to be in for the dogfight. So I don't think Damien Oliver's going to want to just control proceedings. So I think that would be advantage Brightside, given what he's shown so far this preparation. And the other thing is, like, box seating behind Alligator Blood, it's not a huge negative. It's not like he's got Spanish Missions back, who's first up off 53 weeks. Like, Alligator Blood's going to take you a long way into the race. So I think... Yeah, I've got Brightside clearly on top for me, but at $1.90, do I really want to get involved in this? Probably not. So I'm going to shoulder arms to this race from a betting perspective. Are you going to have a bet at all?
No, I probably won't be playing, but Mr. Brightside clearly on top.
Yeah, it's and it might be one of these bets where Mr. Brightside comes out and spanks them, and you and I will text each other and go, that was the easiest $1.90 bet ever, why didn't we take it? So, but I think there's just a few question marks there. I was really keen to look at Osipenko from an each way point of view, but when you get to 7-horse field, no third dividend, no thank you. So, that's the Group 1. Let's head to race 8 now, mate. And this could be the race I'm looking forward to most on the program. It's the Group 2 Elope Stakes for the mares, 4-year-olds and upwards, 1,400 metres. Little bit of history for you here, Mickey. Pinker won in 2011 and 3 runs later won the Cox Plate. So it's all about the girl from the west here, Amelia's Jewel, who's just so exciting in terms of intrigue into racing and the public work and the jump outs this week for the track gallops at Flemington this week. There's been a little bit of a buzz in the air, and I'm just really excited to see how she measures up over East. And she's drawn 15.
Yep.
She's going to have to they're going to have to take their medicine and go back and do it the hard way, which is her style anyway. I'm interested from your point of view, if you're really keen to dive in at the price and if there's going to be enough speed on for her as well in terms of the map.
Really, I have big concerns about the map here. A lot of these runners are first up here, so more than half the field are first up. So I don't think they're going to be rolling forward, pouring it on. She was going to go back anyway, so no real concern about the fact she was going back. But if you're going to go back, you want pace on. She's clearly the best horse in the race. There's no doubting that. We haven't seen probably a horse from WA come over this good since Northerly. But we're now asking you to take $1.80 about a horse that's going to be back off potentially a slow tempo. I'm happy to be against, and I've made her a lay.
Oh, huge.
Yeah.
Laying Amelia's Jewel. I don't quite have the kahunas to be doing that on this show. $1.75 at the moment on corporates. I actually, my inner racing just lover, I just couldn't do that because I really want to see her be successful, and I love these boom horses. Like, I was really flat when obviously there was excuses, but Globe went down last week and things like that. But I do think there's value to be had in the race, and I'm going to bet from a 1x3 perspective, and I'm going to side with number 6, Rote to Arataki. I think she's the clear value in the field. Now, she was squeezed at the start, last start when she was first up in the Cochrane, and had to take a medicine and be ridden a bit colder. She's usually ridden a little bit more forward, a little bit more positively. She managed to reel off the fastest last 400 and 200 metres of the race behind the likes of Benedetta and Parasau, who are pretty smart types. What happens here is she's drawn 3. Mark Zara on board, and I think they're just going to be more positive with this ride. So, how far is she going to need, say, at the 400 to be in front of Amelia's Jewel? I'm not sure, because Amelia's Jewel, like pound for pound, is just a better horse. But second up, fitness edge, Amelia's Jewel with bigger fish to fry. I think Rote to Arataki, you're looking at, $11, $3, 1x3 play is something that I want to get involved in and have a bet in the Let's Elope.
Yeah, good stuff. I think Torregine's a horse that probably is a very similar profile. It goes forward, gets in 55 kilos. I think its first up run, last preparation, was good enough at Sandown. The figure wasn't too bad. Then went to Sydney and just failed, but I'm happy to forgive those. I think she's back bigger, better, stronger this time around. And I think on a 1x3 basis, we can just trust that she'll run a place here. And outside of that, I think it's a very, very sticky race.
Yeah, it is. There'll be a lot. We'll learn a lot from the race, I think, particularly with Amelia's Jewel coming over from the west. That's a good one to learn from. Let's head to race number 9 now on the card. The Group 2 Bobby Lewis for the 4-year-olds and upwards, over 1,200 metres down the Ididdle-Diddle. Tony Gollan, it's all about him this day. He's got Antino, right? He's obviously got his other boom horse. I've already lost the name of that, Skirt the Law. He won this race last year, the Bobby Lewis, with Baller at $21, if you don't mind. And an interesting race here. We've got Benedetta, who's absolutely flying, was excellent first up in the Cochrane. Have the likes of Najim Sahel, who's in great form as well. How are you sort of assessing this race, mate? And we've got some returning ones as well, the likes of Star Patrol.
Yeah, Star Patrol comes back and I think has gotten over his foot issues, so glue-on shoes off, and a few things going right for it this time around. He has a really, really big figure, 1,200 metres Flemington. So I suggest if he's improved and the foot issues have gone, he could really jump out of the ground here. No doubt about it. Najim Sahal was a horse that probably is going to go on to bigger and better things this preparation, but I think just bummed into 2 smart ones in Benedetta and Star Patrol. Do you want to take the $2.50, $2.40 Benedetta? No, I don't. I'd be happy to take something close to $3. That's what I had him marked. So I thought Star Patrol would be the bet out of those 2 $5 represents value, and I think that this horse can jump out of the ground this preparation footy.
Yeah, Benedetta. I find the straight map really interesting here. Benedetta's obviously proven, as is Star Patrol. I think she's going to follow Star Patrol everywhere he goes, and she's going to be pouncing late. I'm hoping barrier 1 down the straight isn't going to be too much of a negative, because I'm pretty keen on Najim Sahel again, 1x3 type betting play. He's just been a completely different prospect since he was gelded. He was huge first up here over 1,000 metres, and then he ran a career peak last start at the Valley over 1,200 metres, albeit that was a day that was advantageous to be up on the speed. Even though he won well that day at the Valley, I'm not convinced he's a Valley horse. I actually thought he crabbed around the Valley. So I reckon he's a much better straight track horse, Najim Sahel. You're getting sort of $8, $2.40 about him. And again, it's kind of the flavour and the theme of how I'm playing Flemington. But I'll be playing Najim Sahel from a each way or 1x3 betting prospect as well, and hoping for a result. But I'm really keen to see Benedetta and see if she elevates to another level. I clearly would have her on top, but at the price, I think I've just got Najim Sahel as
you got to be price sensitive as a punter, right? That's the whole idea of the game. Be really interested to see. I think the chances, as you touched on, Najim Sahel, is how does the inside play down the straight, and we'll know by race 9. We'll have a really clear indication on that, and you might get a better price.
Yeah, that's a really good call. Mate, that's rounds out our plays at Flemington for the Group 1 Makybe Diva Stakes Day. Before we head to Royal Randwick, though, we've got to head to our next segment, which is Ride of the Week. And not only have you got the call-up to LayBack with Betfair, you've also been given this task, because I nailed it last week with Nash Hot. So you've been given the task this week to give us your ride of the week.
Yeah, I went to Sydney and I sent you the message, and you absolutely just whacked me, hit me out of the park, and said that is not a good ride. So do better, be better. So
in fairness, I'll paint some pictures for our listeners. He's given me Brett Preble NCAP, drew 1, box seated, went around 1 horse, come off the rail at the right time. I was like, what am I looking for here?
I like it.
What am I looking for?
I'll tell you what you're looking for, right? So there's a horse that was at 9th, 10th, 12th and 7th in its career to date. From that start, he had to be aggressive. He had to have the kahunas to do it. And Brett Preble hasn't been in his career best form since he moved from Melbourne to Sydney and was flying, and then sort of hit a bit of a flat spot, as we all do. And he made the decision to go forward. If he was 3 pairs back the fence, couldn't have won. Lobbed 1-1, got the job done. That's why he was my ride of the week. But we pivoted, we went down to Melbourne.
You've justified it.
And we found Charm Stone.
You've justified it well.
Yeah, thank you. We found Charm Stone and Damien Lane, and wow, what an impressive ride, because you jump out of the gates, you get caught 3 wide. What's the first thing that goes through your mind? If I was a jockey, I'd be panicking. I'd suggest that's probably the first thing that happens. You get aggressive, you go forward, but not Damien Lane. Cool as a cucumber. Sits there, probably finds the better part of the track, but off a reasonable tempo. What did you think of the ride?
I thought it was really good. I actually really loved Damien Lane's interview on .com after the race, and he spoke about that a lot of jockeys in Victoria are hesitant about putting their mount 3 wide throughout the race, and he spoke about the benefit of actually getting your horse into its rhythm, and as opposed to trying to find cover, getting back, snicking back, the horse is over racing. Like, you're just better off letting, particularly when you're riding the best horse in the race, like Charmstone, like she is. So I found that actually a really refreshing interview, being like, hey, there's nothing wrong with being 3 wide throughout. If your horse is in a beautiful rhythm, you've got it balanced, and then you can push the button at the right time, and it actually becomes more economical than trying to find some cover. So I thought it was a refreshing interview. I liked it. I can see why you've got it as your ride of the week.
And it's an interesting one. You've got to keep the horse in rhythm, which he did. And you saw J-Mac did it in the autumn. I can't remember the name of the horse, but he sat 2.5 wide. I think it was around Rose Hill. And you see the better jockeys, they can do it, but it's a confidence thing. I think they can all do it. They've just got to be confident in doing it.
And the flip side is, why it is the ride of the week, is because punters are quickly jump on Damien Lane if that horse doesn't win and say you torched it. And then he does win and we celebrate it. So I think it's important we equally celebrate it, because he would have been copping flack if Charmstone didn't get there. So, no, I like it, Mickey. Good ride of the week. This segment's flying since Reece Goodwin's Trainer of the Week's been gone. We'll head to Royal Randwick now, mate. Now, I'm not sure what this day is. Is it 7 Stakes Day? Is it the Shorts Day? I'm not sure. We're just going to call it a great card of racing at Randwick.
It's a big day. There's lots of money up for grabs. It's a super card, and it's intriguing. The Shorts is going to be enormous. Obviously, lead into the Everest. I can't wait to get stuck into that race.
Well, let's talk about the track quickly. The rail is plus 7 metres from the 1,000 to the winning post, plus 4 metres the remainder. At the moment, it's good and it's fine, but Sydney does Sydney things. How are we expecting it?
Yeah, they're turning on the weather this week. You're looking at temperatures up to 30 degrees. So I suggest there have to be some irrigation on the track, which will probably tend to play even early because of that irrigation. But as the track dries out, you want to be up on speed and you want to be looking at horses drawn sort of middle to low barriers. I think they'll be at an advantage.
Yeah, no, that's good insight there. I'll certainly be playing the on paces if it's firm at Randwick. We'll kick off in race number 6. It's the Group 2 T-Rose Stakes for the 3-year-old fillies. Set weights 1,400 metres. Zougotcha won the race last year. 4 Moves Ahead won it in 2021 and Dame Giselle back in 2020. Tiz Invincible and Kamochi share favouritism here. They're both through the Furious Stakes. Tiz Invincible hasn't really done anything wrong. Kamochi looks like she's the one to lead up 1,400 metres. You can see why they're sharing favouritism. And then you've got, I guess, the unbeaten Tropical Squall on the next line of betting and looks the likely leader from Barrier 12. How are you seeing the map and who you got on top?
Yeah, Tropical Squall will go forward, so will Platinum Jubilee, Autumn Ballet, they'll roll forward. So you've got 3 Waterhouse bot runners rolling forward. Mumbai Moose will probably hold a spot and Tiz Invincible can't be far away from Barrier 2. So there'll be enough speed on. But when you've got multiple stablemates up there, they're not going to take each other. I'm not going to go head-to-head and do each other in. So whilst there'll be speed, I'd suggest that it's be a nice moderate tempo, exactly what you'd expect over 1,400 metres, and I think that's advantage Tiz Invincible. It was dynamic last start, won pretty easily to the eye, and granted Kimochi probably gets its chance now from Barrier 5, but one horse has been getting the job done and the other's been having a red light. Which one do you want to be with? If you want to be on the red light horse, you want to be taking $8. You don't want to be taking the same price as the horse that's continued to get the job dne. So I have Tiz Invincible clearly on top, Footy.
Yeah, I really like your point around the map, and I was quite surprised that they came up even, $4 a pop, and can certainly have Tiz Invincible as well on top of that price. But it's, to be honest, it's not really a race that I'm prepared to dive into. We know these fillies can be they can be hard to trust sometimes. I've been burnt before. I was with Autumn Ballet last start and went poorly, didn't settle forward like I expected. So the map and the early stages of these type of races are really important into how it all pans out. Let's head to race number 7 now, mate, which is the 7 Stakes. Weight for age, 1,600 metres. There's a lazy mill here in prize money up for grabs. And not only that, the winner from this race is ballot exempt for the Epsom Handicap later this month. This one here, look, Zaki, Fangirl, Hinge, they all come through the first up run over the 1,400 metres in the Wink Stakes. Think It Over does as well, but has since had that additional run in the Chelmsford. Pericles, a nice win in the Tramway. I'm interested to know if you think he can elevate here. They're the key runners sort of the top of the market. How are you assessing it?
Yeah, I thought Pericles did a good job last start, albeit had Matt Favours, got away with a fair bit. So willing to be against it from Barrier 11 this time around. Think It Over is one that will probably improve now, third up off that long break. Zaki, I thought he had his chance last time, whilst there's some chat, against the pattern of the day. Yeah, granted, but I thought first up was going to be his opportunity to get that Group 1 win. Fangirl, fantastic, couldn't have done more than what she did last start, but now gets Barrier 10, Kieran McAvoy on. Kieran's not the most positive jockey from the gates. He likes to get them into a rhythm, so I suggest Fangirl probably lands out the back. And for all those reasons stated, I probably thought that I needed to go find some value, and I thought Huya Mal was really good last start from the wide draw, got taken back restrained, which is quite unusual for a Waterhouse bot horse to see. But now drawing Barrier 4, Adam Hieronymus on, I suggest this horse is going to sit more forward in the run. And I know there's some question marks from the stable about how that last start run, how he's come through that in regards to, was it a big effort? Did he sort of overperform? I think it's a really great run building platform, coming from last. And I think 1,600 metres, whilst could be a query second up, they'll go more forward. And I think it's a horse that around the $20 mark is worthy a 1x3 play.
Yeah, nice. That was definitely my set. And I'll never pot anyone for back tipping a 20-1 shot, but I would have loved to have seen Huyamal step up to closer to 2,000, staying at 1,600, second up, looking for ground perhaps.
Just on that, the suggestion was, I spoke to Adrian Bott, his suggestion is that they're looking at the Cox Plate with this horse. So that may be why they're keeping him second up 1,600 metres.
That would make sense. Mate, I think this is a really interesting, you talk about price sensitivity here. Yep. I think Zaki at the current quote is the best bet on the program. Yeah, so the old boy is just open to enormous improvement second up. I just cannot have the price discrepancy between him and Fangirl. Now, I was with Fangirl first up, and I'm not too concerned about barrier 10 for a horse. Like, the barrier is offset her pattern. She's going to get back and run on anyway. But I'm just against her back on the likely firm going as well. And at that price, Zaki's the one that's going to take more improvement second up. Pericles is the interesting runner. So we spoke about map favours in the tramway. He led them up in the tramway. They went some 7.2 lengths slower than the class average to the 600. I don't think Zaki and Chad Schofield's going to let Pericles have it on a platter in this type of race, in $1 million race. He's going to be made to earn it. So he's going to have to be able to sustain a lot stronger tempo, which I don't think he can do. And I think Zaki eats up hot tempos and loves being eyeballed and is a great second up horse. So Zaki's one of my better bets on the program, and I'm also going to make Fangirl a lay. Given the track, there is a caveat around that, and given the track is in the good range, which we expect it to be. So laying Fangirl and backing Zaki in the 7 stakes, Mickey.
Love it, mate.
Yeah, and I like the value play here as well. You're looking for a little bit of Huyamal around 19, 20 bucks. We'll go to race 8 now, which is the Group 2 shorts, set weights and penalties, 1,100 metres. Get a load of the names on the honour list here. 2022 Nature Strip, 2021 Eduardo, 2020 Classic Legends, some absolute explosive beasts. But they are all retired now, and there is a little bit of a changing of the guard here this year, I feel. And this race would not be lost at all with Group 1 title next to its name, let's be honest. Speed map wise, they're going to roll along. They're fast horses, they're going to go fast. Overpass, Remark, we saw it, he did first up. In Secret, Lost and Running, Ethelric from the Deep. Looks like they're going to go quick.
Going to have to break this race down, and I'm going to do it in a few ways. So first of all, horses that need to win versus horses that don't need to win. So horses that don't need to win, Private Eye, Marzu, In Secret, Buenos Noches, for obvious reasons, is they're on their way to an Everest, no doubt. You don't want to be peaking here. Horses that need to win, Overpass, Remark, Hawaii 5-0. There's 3 horses that really need to jump out of the ground. Josh Parr, Barrier 1, Overpass. I'll be surprised if they see which way he went. He'll be handlebars down. He has to win this race to put his hand up for an Everest, because if he gets beat, he won't be going there. There'll be too many other options. I have question marks over Remark, how he's going to go second up off that run. It was really impressive, but was wide and had to work hard and had to put in late. It was what you probably describe as
broke the track record, didn't he? So that's gut buster, is that what you're saying?
Potential gut buster. And a strong 1,100 metres is a question mark. I think Overpass is there to win. I think he'll be primed, ready to go. And I suggest that last preparation was really good in the Quokka, then came out and peaked again. So I'd say handlebars down, J Parr, Overpass goes to the front, flies, Hawaii 5-0 can come out of the pack and put his hand up for an Everest. And I think we'll see some really nice runs in behind, the likes of In Secret and Marzu and Private Eye finishing off well. Yeah,
don't mind your take around horses that have to win versus horses that don't have to win, but In Secret, well, she's just going to win.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really keen again. Fastest last 400 metres of the meeting, last start in the Concord. I was with Remark that day, and I actually agree with you what you're saying around Remark second up. I'm not sure if there's another level there, if that might have taken a little bit out of the tank. Few things in Secret's favour. 2.5 kilo weight swing on Remark, was only 0.2 lengths off Remark in that Concord, out to 1,100 metres. She's open to so much more improvement. I've got her as a clear on top, and I think she's going to get a beautiful suck run in behind that speed. Buenos Noches is a horse we haven't touched on yet too. It would be rude if we didn't, because first up winner in the Show County, ran a big new career peak and was ultra impressive. 4 weeks between runs here, back to 1,100 metres.
Drops in weight, which is a help. But second up, hasn't won second up. First up record's pretty good now. So I just think it's one of those horses, job's done. Put hand up, job's done, ready to peak at the Everest. Don't think Saturday will be his day, but be very, very much thereabouts come Everest.
Yeah, certainly a few storylines. Well, in secret for me, overpass for Mickey Gannon in the shorts. It's probably one of the races I'm most looking forward to on Saturday, to be honest. Mate, that rounds out our Sydney. I know we're going to go to the Bill Ritchie, actually. Let's have a look at that before we get to Jacko in Take On Me. Bill Ritchie Handicap, Group 3, 1,400 metres. There's a $3 favourite here, Olentia, who I might not have a very strong relationship with at the moment, and it's a race I'm not keen to sort of delve into. Converge on the second line at $3.90, who hasn't loved winning as well. Tamer Lane returns. Barbie's Fox heads north again for the Hayes team, who are absolutely on fire. How are you assessing this race, mate?
Yeah, I think you're spot on with Olentia. I'm just can't stand the horse now after what it produced last start.
Taking it personally.
Yeah, taking it personally. Yeah, it owes me one, but it's going to owe me one in the late column, I think, this week. So happy to be against J Ford, barrier 12. I really wanted them to be positive last start. They went slow and they weren't positive, which was really disappointing. I don't know what you do now from barrier 12, but that stable usually they're going to go unrestrained. You've got a couple horses there. Tamerlane will go forward there, and then you've got Ridanier that'll go forward as well. I think it leaves a nice gap there for Converge to just sit there behind those two. Converge was 0.8 off Think About It in the Kingsford Smith first up last preparation. If it repeats that, it wins this race.
Yeah, nice. I'm not putting Elentia in the lay column at all because I think it might have been just unsuited by that tempo in the tramway. We already spoke previously about how Pericles sort of had it on a platter. But again, I'm not sure you're going to get much stronger of a tempo. I'm not sure the race shape is too dissimilar here. Yep. So I think she's a good horse, and I think she's one that I think the exchange is holding my money at the moment, and I'll get back at some stage, but just not this weekend.
We referenced that though. We talked about Charmstone and being 3 wide and having a lovely run into the race and maintaining, a balance. And then you go to Olentia and you thought, well, similar opportunities there.
Mm. Yeah, good call. You got to, I guess, perhaps be a little bit more positive. Mate, that is the Sydney card wrapped up there. Let's head now to Jackson. He's on fire in the Take On Me segment, and this is what he is taking on this week.
Take on me this week, Flemington, Makybe Diva Stakes Day, and I want to lay race 4 in the Poseidon Stakes, race 4, number 3, King's Gambit. This week, more so not knocking the horse as much as I am knocking the price against the opposition. I thought this was a really, really strong race. I thought there was 7 or 8 chances out of the 12, and so for that reason, I'm just happy to take on the $3 favourite. As we saw from his first preparation, King's Gambit is far from the finished product. Thought he's trialled a bit more professionally, coming back and B-shin suits, but inside draw first up down the straight in a really, really strong race against the likes of I'm Unstoppable, Pivot City, could be anything. Arkansas Kid looks like he's come back better this preparation. Mahaba, Kaditsi Abstract, Archo Nacho, they're all really, really good chances. So at $3.25 is the best price around for King's Gambit. I'm going to put up 500 at $3.60 if anybody wants to play. Race 4, number 3, King's Gambit.
Jacko's putting up 500 at 360. Are you going to...
Yeah, I might just, when we finish this, just jump on and take a bit of that.
Jeez, Gannon wants in on that. He's not scared to put his hand in his pocket, Jacko, and put his money where his mouth is. I respect that. So good luck to both you and Jacko going head-to-head there, King's Gambit in the Poseidon. Mate, we'll quickly summarise our bets now and our unit plays for the weekend. We'll head through, see how we're going to disperse our units. As always, we're trying to gamble responsibly and get a result. I think I'm, just as a heads up, you probably don't know, but I think I'm plus sort of 17.78 units, sort of around there at the moment on the show. Yeah. So that's where it's at the moment. I'm not sure where Reese is. He's sort of I think he's been given 2 weeks off to sort of collect his thoughts. And
just reset Reese's bank and I'll kick off for him here.
Yeah, Tom spent all his units in Rome, so I think he got rolled in Rome. Anyway, this is how I'm seeing this week. I'm going to race 5 Flemington, number 7 Makybe Mojave Desert, I'm going to have 0.5 unit to win, 0.5 unit to place. Race 6, I'm going to side with Stretton Angel, 0.25 units to win, 0.75 units to place. Race number 8, I'm going to have number 6, Road to Arataki, 0.4 unit to win, 1.2 units to place. Same play in race 9, number 10, Najim Sahel, 0.4 units to win, 1.2 units to place. Then I'll head to Sydney. I'm going to have 2 units to win on Zaki in the 7 stakes. And then in the shorts, in race number 8, I'm going to have 1.5 units to win on In Secret. I'm also going to, just in the lay column, I'm going to lay Fangirl in the 7 stakes with a liability of 2 units. And that's how I'm seeing this weekend.
Good stuff, mate. I'm going to go to Flemington, kick off race 4, King's Gambit. I'm going to have 2 units on it. I'll take some of Jacko's 360. Race 5, Legacies, 2 units on it. Race 6, Skirt the Law, 2 units on it. Looks a really good price there. And race 6 at Randwick, Tis Invincible, have 2 units on it. And in the lay column, I'm happy to take on Princess Grace for a unit and very keen to take on Amelia's Jewel for a unit.
Great stuff, Mickey. Well, you'll either walk out of here a champion, but not till Saturday afternoon if you nail this sort of stuff. Thanks for coming on the show. It's good to get some Sydney flavour down for once and something a little bit different, and always have our LayBack listeners getting a different insight into form analysts and how they go about it. And it's been great to have you on the show, mate. And hopefully we'll have you on again in the future.
Always a pleasure. Hopefully we can steer the punters into some winners. Otherwise, we may not be welcome back.
I think that's usually the bottom line, to be honest. Otherwise you're gone. What was this? Plus 17.78 units. Have a good weekend, everyone. We'll be back next week on LayBack with Betfair.
Chances are you're about to lose. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.